The hidden weapon. The Earth was under attack. Alien ships, unlike anything the people had ever seen before, filled the sky. The world's military forces were struggling, and the cities began to fall one by one. Panic swept across every country as humanity realized it was outmatched, its last defenses crumbling before the might of the invaders. However, amid the chaos, there was one small team of explorers who had no idea their actions would change the fate of the world. Deep beneath the earth, hidden in the forgotten corners of history, something ancient and powerful awaited. A group of soldiers, led by Captain James Carter, were dispatched to investigate an old, sealed underground facility discovered months earlier. The building was buried beneath layers of rock, lost to time. Its origins were unclear, and no one knew who built it or what secrets it held. The military had written it off as nothing more than an abandoned relic. But now, in the midst of the alien invasion, it seemed like a potential lifeline. Carter and his team descended into the darkness, their torches illuminating walls lined with strange symbols and old technology. The air smelled of dust and neglect, as if this place had been untouched for centuries. They moved cautiously, unsure of what they might find, but driven by a single thought: anything that could help defeat the aliens was worth exploring. As they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, they came upon a large, reinforced door. The door was sealed with a thick layer of ancient metal, and its locks were complex, unlike anything Carter had seen before. The door was clearly built to protect whatever lay beyond. His heart raced as he motioned for his team to prepare. He knew that whatever was inside could either be the key to saving humanity or the final nail in their coffin. "We don't know what's on the other side," Carter warned, "but we need to open it now." The team worked together, using explosives to break through the door's defenses. After what felt like an eternity, the door finally gave way. Inside, they found an enormous chamber. The room was vast, far larger than anything they had expected. And at the center of the room, resting in a bed of stone, was something that made their blood run cold. It was a massive war machine, an ancient tank unlike any they had seen before. The tank was enormous, its design strange and unfamiliar. The metallic surface was tarnished by time, yet it seemed almost alive, pulsing with a strange energy. Its weapons were unlike anything the team had ever seen. Cannon-like barrels lined the sides, and energy cells hummed with potential power. A sense of awe and fear gripped the soldiers. This was no ordinary relic. It was a weapon. Carter approached the tank, feeling the weight of the moment. His fingers brushed the cold surface. The thing was ancient, yet there was something unmistakably powerful about it. He knew, deep down, that this was no ordinary war machine. This was the weapon that could change everything. If they could unlock its power. "Do we activate it?" one of the soldiers asked, his voice trembling. Carter hesitated for only a moment. The alien forces were closing in, and the situation was growing more desperate by the minute. This tank could be their only hope. "Yes," he said firmly. "We activate it." They worked quickly, hooking up the necessary power sources and using advanced technology to bypass the tank's ancient systems. But as they powered it up, something unexpected happened. The tank's systems began to stir, lights flickering to life, and the sound of a low hum filled the room. Slowly, it began to move, its ancient engines roaring to life. For a moment, there was only silence. The team stood frozen, staring at the massive machine as it powered up. Then, with a loud thrum, the tank began to rise from its stone bed. Its massive treads shifted, and the war machine seemed to come alive. The soldiers stepped back in awe. This was not just a tank. It was a weapon of unimaginable power. Carter could hardly believe his eyes. The tank was alive, and it was ready to fight. "Get ready," he ordered, his voice steady but filled with excitement. "This is our chance. We take the fight to them." The team climbed aboard the ancient war machine, unsure of what to expect. The tank's controls were primitive, but the technology was advanced enough to give them full control. They fired up its weapons, and the team was ready. The tank's heavy guns were locked and loaded, and its engines hummed with raw power. They emerged from the underground facility, taking the tank out into the open world, where the alien forces were already causing destruction. The sky was filled with alien ships, and the ground trembled with the weight of their arrival. But Earth had a hidden weapon now, a weapon that would change everything. As they drove the tank toward the front lines, Carter's mind raced with possibilities. Could this ancient machine really defeat the alien invaders? Or was it just another weapon from a forgotten time, destined to fail like all the others? There was only one way to find out. They approached the alien forces, and suddenly, the world seemed to go still. The soldiers inside the tank could feel the tension in the air, the weight of their actions. This could be the turning point. This could be the weapon that saves humanity, or it could be the last stand of a species doomed to lose. And then, with a deafening roar, the tank's massive guns fired. The shockwave from the blast was felt for miles, and in that moment it became clear. Earth's hidden weapon was not a relic. It was the last hope for humanity. The alien army, which had seemed unstoppable moments ago, was about to face a power unlike any it had ever known. The battle had only just begun, but already the fate of the world was changing. This version uses simple, basic English and is written in third-person style to ensure the audience stays engaged while maintaining the suspense throughout the story. The relic awakens. The rumbling of the massive war machine echoed through the valley as Captain Carter and his team slowly drove the ancient tank toward the alien forces. The tank's rumbling engines felt alive beneath them, and every movement sent a jolt of excitement and fear into the soldiers' hearts. The alien ships hovered above, their strange, glowing weapons aimed at the defenseless human cities. The sky was alive with the whir of alien technology, but below, Earth's hidden weapon was coming to life. Captain Carter kept his eyes focused on the advancing alien forces. He knew this could be humanity's last stand. The alien invaders had destroyed so many cities, and Earth's defenses were nothing compared to the terrifying alien technology. But this tank, this relic of an ancient war, was something else entirely. The question on Carter's mind was simple: would it be enough? The alien ships fired their weapons, sending blasts of energy toward the ground. The explosions shook the earth, but the massive tank rolled on, unaffected by the destruction. It was as though the war machine was built to endure such attacks. "Hold steady," Carter ordered. He could feel the tension rising. The alien forces had no idea what was about to hit them. He knew this tank's firepower was unmatched by anything the invaders had, but how much power could this ancient war machine truly unleash? The tank's giant cannon hummed to life as they approached the alien ships. The soldiers inside were nervous, but Carter trusted the machine. His fingers gripped the control panel tightly as he guided the tank closer to the enemy lines. The alien ships began to fire again, their beams of energy cutting through the sky toward the ground. Then, with a thunderous roar, the tank fired its first shot. The impact was unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. The ground trembled as the blast collided with one of the alien ships. The explosion sent shockwaves through the air, and the alien ship was instantly torn apart. Pieces of debris rained down, and for a brief moment, the soldiers inside the tank stood in stunned silence. "This is it," one of the soldiers whispered. "We've got them." But Carter remained focused. This was only the beginning. He knew the alien forces would respond. They wouldn't back down so easily. And now, the war had truly begun. The tank's massive cannon fired again, this time targeting another alien ship. The explosion that followed was even more powerful than the first. Alien ships began to retreat, but they quickly regrouped. New ships dropped down from the sky, surrounding the tank on all sides. Carter's heart raced as he realized just how massive the enemy forces were. "We're outnumbered," one of the soldiers said, his voice shaky. "They're everywhere." Carter looked around at his team. Their faces were filled with fear, but they were ready. This was humanity's moment to turn the tide. He reached over and pressed a button on the console, activating a hidden feature of the tank. The massive war machine's hidden turrets opened up, revealing even more advanced weaponry that had remained dormant for centuries. "Time to show them what we've got," Carter said, his voice steady with resolve. The alien ships closed in, but the tank was ready. With another deafening roar, the tank unleashed a barrage of laser fire, tearing through the alien ships with shocking precision. The aliens tried to retaliate, but their weapons were no match for the sheer power of the tank. In just moments, several alien ships were destroyed, and others turned to flee. Carter and his team couldn't believe what they were seeing. The tank's ancient weapons were proving far more effective than anyone could have imagined. But the battle wasn't over. More alien ships were on the way, and they wouldn't give up without a fight. Carter knew they had to keep pushing forward. They couldn't afford to stop now. This was humanity's chance to win, to show the invaders that they had underestimated the power of Earth. The tank moved forward once more, with its weapons blazing. The alien forces tried to regroup, but every time they did, the tank was there, unleashing destruction on a scale they had never imagined. In just minutes, the alien forces that had seemed unstoppable were being torn apart by a single machine, a relic from a forgotten time. The tank continued its assault, pushing forward into the heart of the alien army. Every shot was a direct hit, every explosion a message to the invaders. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The soldiers inside the tank watched in awe as the destruction unfolded. Carter's heart raced with excitement and fear, but one thing was certain: Earth had just found its weapon. And with it, they were going to win this war. The alien forces were retreating, and the world was beginning to turn the tide. Carter knew it wasn't over yet, but for the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to believe that Earth might just stand a chance. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, the soldiers knew one thing: the hidden weapon had awoken, and it was unstoppable. This part continues with simple language and suspenseful buildup, maintaining the excitement as the tank is revealed to be humanity's secret weapon against the alien forces. It emphasizes the strength of the tank, the peril of the situation, and the hope it brings to Earth. Unstoppable fury. The rumbling of Earth's ancient tank reverberated through the ground as it tore through the alien ranks, a beast of war unleashed. Captain Carter watched with a mix of awe and disbelief as each blast from the tank's cannons shattered the enemy's forces. Alien ships that once seemed invincible were now reduced to burning wrecks. The Earth trembled beneath the weight of the tank's power, and Carter couldn't help but wonder how humanity had hidden such a weapon for so long. But despite the overwhelming destruction, the alien army wasn't ready to admit defeat. More ships descended from the sky, their glowing weapons aimed directly at the tank. The battle was escalating, and the stakes had never been higher. Carter knew they couldn't rest yet. This fight wasn't over. "Captain, more ships incoming," shouted one of the crew members. Carter's eyes scanned the sky. A fleet of alien ships was swooping down, their weapons charging with deadly intent. The tank had already made its mark, but the aliens were relentless. Their fleet seemed endless, but Carter knew one thing: Earth's ancient war machine was far from done. "Brace yourselves," Carter called out. "We're not stopping until this battle is won." The crew tightened their grips on the controls, preparing for the next wave. The tank's weapon systems powered up again, and the soldiers inside felt a surge of energy. This was humanity's moment to prove their worth. The alien ships opened fire first, beams of energy cutting through the air. The air crackled as the blasts came dangerously close. The tank's massive armored hull absorbed the energy, but Carter could feel the strain. They couldn't keep taking hits like this for long. The tank had been dormant for centuries, and the wear and tear from the battle was beginning to show. "Return fire," Carter shouted. With a fierce roar, the tank retaliated. Its massive cannons fired one after another, each shot a precision strike aimed at the alien ships. The explosions were deafening as alien vessels were torn apart in midair. The aliens were powerful, but their ships were fragile when faced with the sheer might of Earth's ancient technology. Yet, for every alien ship destroyed, two more seemed to appear. They just kept coming. The tank's weapons were nearly unstoppable, but the sheer number of aliens was overwhelming. "Captain, we need more firepower," one of the soldiers said, his voice filled with urgency. "We don't have more," Carter replied, his voice steady but filled with the tension of the moment. "This is all we have. Hold the line." The alien ships circled around the tank, attacking from every angle. The crew inside was exhausted, but they kept pushing forward. The tank fired relentlessly, ripping through the alien ships with explosive force. But as the hours passed, the tank's energy began to wane, and Carter realized they couldn't hold out much longer. "We have to make it to their command ship," Carter said, his voice grim. "Take out the leader, and the rest will fall." The tank rumbled as it shifted its direction, aiming toward the massive alien command ship hovering above the battlefield. It was their last chance. If they could destroy that ship, the alien forces would lose their coordination, and the war might finally be over. Carter guided the tank through the smoke-filled sky, dodging fire and returning it in full force. The alien command ship loomed closer, its defenses formidable, but the ancient tank's weaponry was relentless. It had destroyed everything in its path so far, and it wasn't going to stop now. They were close. The alien ship's defenses flared up, energy shields shimmering as they attempted to absorb the tank's firepower. The tank fired a volley of shots, each one closer than the last. Then, with a final thunderous roar, the tank unleashed its full might in a single concentrated strike. The alien command ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its pieces scattering in all directions. The battlefield fell silent for a moment, the sky now filled with debris. The remaining alien ships scattered, some fleeing in fear, others simply disintegrating as the tank's powerful weapons continued to tear through their ranks. Carter let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. The battle was over. The alien forces, once so confident in their superiority, were now in disarray. The tank had done its job. Earth had won. But Carter knew this victory wasn't just because of the tank's power. It was humanity's will to fight, their determination to survive, that had turned the tide. The tank had been their weapon, but it was their spirit that had made the difference. The crew inside the tank cheered, but Carter remained silent. He had seen what humans were capable of, and he knew this was just the beginning. The alien invasion may have been repelled, but there would be more battles ahead. And next time, humanity would be ready. For now, though, the crew allowed themselves a moment of relief. The destruction had been devastating, but humanity had survived. Earth had proven its power. And the alien forces would never forget the day they faced the wrath of humanity's hidden weapon. The aftermath and the new threat. The battle was over, but the cost of victory weighed heavily on Captain Carter's mind. The alien forces had been shattered, their command ship reduced to debris, but the field around them was littered with the wreckage of both alien ships and Earth's ancient war machine. As the dust settled, Carter ordered the crew to assess the damage. Their victory was hard-earned, and the fight had taken a toll on the tank. "Status report," Carter barked. The team quickly went to work, scanning for critical damage. The tank had survived, but barely. The once dominant weapon was now scared, its hull pockmarked with energy burns. The weapon systems were still functional, but it wouldn't take much more for them to fail completely. "We've got some serious damage to the outer plating," Lieutenant Hayes called out. "We need repairs, or this thing won't survive another fight." Carter nodded grimly. The tank had held up, but it wasn't invincible. "What about the rest of the fleet?" he asked, turning to another officer. The response was less optimistic. "The fleet scattered. They took heavy losses during the battle, Captain. Our allies won't be much help in the short term. Carter's mind raced. They had won, yes, but the alien threat hadn't been entirely neutralized. The fleet might have been driven back for now, but Earth wasn't safe. The fight had just begun, and new challenges would emerge from the chaos of war. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the horizon. Beyond the wreckage, beyond the remnants of the alien ships, something else stirred. A shadow that didn't belong. Something larger, stronger, something Earth had never faced before. Carter's instincts kicked in. He wasn't just seeing debris anymore. His mind was working, analyzing, calculating. The alien fleet might have been weakened, but they weren't the true threat. The real danger was still hidden. "Everyone, get ready," Carter said, his voice tense. "Something's coming, and it's not going to be easy." As the crew scrambled to prepare for whatever was heading their way, Carter surveyed the battlefield. The alien forces might have been scattered, but there was still a lingering sense of dread. He could feel it in the air, thick with uncertainty. The universe had never seen a weapon like Earth's ancient tank, and the aliens weren't about to give up without a fight. But the true enemy wasn't just the alien army anymore. There was something else, something far worse. It was then that the skies above began to darken. The sudden shift in the atmosphere sent a chill down Carter's spine. The sensors on the tank began to beep erratically as a new signal appeared on their radar. It was massive, larger than any ship they had encountered so far. The readings were off the charts. "Captain," the officer at the console called out, "you need to see this." Carter's eyes went wide as he looked at the screen. The shape was unlike anything they had seen. A monstrous, hulking structure of alien design, far more advanced than the ships they had just destroyed. It was coming fast, and its sheer size dwarfed everything in its path. This was no ordinary ship. This was a new breed of weapon. "We've got a problem," Carter said, his voice tight. "It's not just another fleet. It's a weapon." The crew stared in disbelief. They had just witnessed the fall of the alien fleet, and now something even worse was arriving. The new threat wasn't just technologically advanced. It was a living, breathing nightmare built to destroy. "They're not coming to negotiate," Carter muttered, his mind racing. "They're coming to finish what they started." The ancient tank might have been a powerful force, but Carter knew that even this massive weapon might not be enough to stop the new enemy. The stakes had risen beyond their control. Humanity had won a hard-fought battle, but the war was far from over. And the true challenge was just beginning. The alien behemoth grew larger on the screen, its form blocking out the stars. Its weapon systems were already activating, preparing for a devastating strike. Carter gritted his teeth and turned to his team. There was no more time for hesitation. "Prepare for battle," he commanded. "This is going to be the fight of our lives." As the crew worked quickly to ready the tank for the incoming threat, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was standing on the brink of something far darker. The aliens they had just defeated were nothing compared to this new force. But humanity had one thing on its side: the will to fight. They had faced impossible odds before, and they would do it again. The tank might have been Earth's hidden weapon, but now it was humanity's only hope. The alien behemoth was almost upon them. The fate of Earth rested on their shoulders, and the battle that awaited them would test every ounce of strength, courage, and resourcefulness they had. The war was far from over, but Captain Carter and his team would fight until the very end. As the massive alien ship loomed overhead, Carter braced for the storm ahead. There was no turning back now. The wrath of the ancient tank. The air crackled with tension as the colossal alien warship loomed above. It wasn't just any enemy ship. It was a beast forged from the deepest reaches of alien technology, a weapon designed not only to conquer but to annihilate. The sky grew darker, casting an ominous shadow over Earth's battered fleet. The looming ship was a true testament to the power of the alien invaders, but Captain Carter was resolute. Earth had something they didn't: a hidden weapon, an ancient tank that had once reshaped the battlefield. "We've got to hold them off," Carter muttered under his breath, staring up at the alien vessel. The fate of Earth depends on this. The crew of the ancient tank worked in a frenzy, frantically preparing for what could be the last stand of humanity. The once imposing tank, scared and dented from the previous battle, now seemed small against the mighty alien warship. But Carter knew better. This was no ordinary tank. It was Earth's last line of defense. Its power was unparalleled, but it was still not invincible. Powering up all weapons, Lieutenant Hayes reported, her voice steady, but her eyes betrayed her nerves. Carter nodded. Make sure everything's locked and loaded. We have one shot at this. No room for error. The alien ship's massive weapons systems hummed to life, sending ripples of energy through the air. Carter's team had been in some tough fights, but nothing like this. They were facing an enemy whose sheer size and strength seemed impossible to overcome. And yet, humanity had always found a way to survive. They had survived the destruction of their planet's early days, survived against overwhelming odds. And now, they would survive again. "Sir, they're charging," another officer called out from the radar station. "Target locked. They're firing." The first volley of energy blasts streaked through space, aimed straight at the tank. The ground shook as the massive cannons fired. The impact from the alien weapons sent shockwaves across the battlefield. But the ancient tank held steady. Its thick armor absorbed the blows, but it wouldn't last long under this kind of assault. "Return fire," Carter shouted. The ancient tank's cannons roared to life, its hidden firepower unleashed in a torrent of destruction. The ground vibrated with the intensity of its blasts, and the alien warship's shields flickered as they absorbed the brunt of the attack. But the tank wasn't done. It had more hidden weapons, and Carter knew how to use them. "Deploy the secondary systems," he ordered, his voice calm and calculating. With a hiss of hydraulics, the tank's side panels slid open, revealing a series of concealed missile pods. They launched in rapid succession, streaking toward the alien warship. The alien vessel attempted to deploy its own countermeasures, but the missiles hit their mark, tearing through its shields and striking its hull. Sparks and explosions erupted on the ship's surface, sending ripples of energy through its structure. The alien warship was reeling, but it wasn't down yet. It retaliated with a barrage of weapons, its massive cannons aimed directly at Earth's ancient tank. The ground shook with every blast, but Carter held his ground. His hands gripped the control levers as his mind worked at full speed. "We need to get closer," Carter said. "This fight isn't won from a distance. Get us within range of their core." Lieutenant Hayes looked at him, eyes wide. "Are you sure? We'll be in their firing range." Carter didn't hesitate. "We don't have a choice. They're too powerful from here. We need to cripple their core, and we need to do it now." The crew scrambled into action, recalibrating the tank's systems to close the gap. The alien warship's attacks intensified as the distance closed, but the ancient tank pressed forward. Each blast, each impact, only fueled Carter's resolve. The warship might have the size, but the tank had the heart. The battle raged on, with both sides taking hits. The alien warship was huge, but Earth's hidden weapon was mighty in ways the invaders hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just the power of the ancient tank that made it a threat. It was the will of those driving it. And that will was unbreakable. "Prepare for final assault," Carter called out, his voice steady, despite the chaos surrounding them. "All weapons at maximum power. We're ending this now." The tank surged forward, its engines roaring with energy. As they approached the alien ship's core, the massive cannons of the enemy fired relentlessly. But the ancient tank dodged and weaved, its advanced maneuvering systems proving more than a match for the alien ship's brute force. With a final deafening roar, the tank fired its last round, a devastating blast aimed directly at the alien warship's core. The shot hit true. The alien vessel shuddered as the blast tore through its defenses, striking at the heart of its power. The alien ship's shields flickered and died, and its core erupted in a massive explosion. The shockwave sent debris flying across the battlefield, and the once imposing ship began to disintegrate, piece by piece. The tank skidded to a halt, just as the remains of the alien warship crumpled into nothingness. "We did it," Hayes whispered, staring at the wreckage. But Carter wasn't celebrating. He knew this was only one victory in a long war. The alien forces were relentless, and there were more battles to fight. Yet for the moment, humanity had proven the cost of victory. The wreckage of the alien warship floated in space, a charred and crumpled reminder of the immense power the ancient tank had unleashed. The victory felt hollow. As the crew of Earth's hidden tank surveyed the destruction, there was no time for celebration. The battle had taken a heavy toll, and the reality of their situation began to sink in. Captain Carter stood at the command center, staring out the viewing window at the debris that now filled the battlefield. The remains of the alien vessel were scattered in every direction, but it wasn't the sight of victory that weighed on his mind. It was the growing uncertainty about what was coming next. "We've bought ourselves some time, but that's all," Carter said, his voice low. "The alien fleet will be back, and they won't be as easy to defeat next time. We're going to need more than just this tank." Lieutenant Hayes, still holding the control panel in front of her, turned to him with a look of concern. "Captain, we gave them everything we had. What else can we do?" Carter turned to face her, his expression grim. "We need to prepare for the worst. The alien forces are relentless. This is only the beginning." The crew had been battered by the battle, but their spirits were unbroken. They had fought fiercely against impossible odds, but now, with the threat of a larger invasion looming, it was clear that the ancient tank alone wouldn't be enough to hold back the full might of the alien forces. "Start working on an evacuation plan," Carter ordered, his tone cold and determined. "We can't afford to lose Earth. We need to fortify our defenses. This was a lucky victory, but luck won't save us forever." The ship's technicians began to repair the damaged systems of the tank, while others went to work on gathering intelligence about the alien forces. Carter couldn't help but feel a gnawing anxiety as he watched his team scramble to prepare for the inevitable. The ancient tank had proven its power, but there was no guarantee it would be enough for the next round. But then, a sudden transmission crackled through the comm system, pulling Carter's attention back to the present. "Captain, you need to see this," came the voice of Commander Collins from the radar station. "We've detected something unusual." Carter's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean, unusual?" Collins's voice was steady but tinged with disbelief. "We're picking up more than just alien ships. There's a signal, but it's coming from within Earth's atmosphere. A signal we didn't send." Carter's blood ran cold. "Are you saying there's someone else down there?" "We don't know yet, sir," Collins replied. "But it's definitely not an alien transmission. It's human-made, and it's coming from a hidden location. We've been trying to pinpoint its source, but it's like nothing we've ever seen before." Carter's mind raced. What could it be? Earth's enemies had made their presence known, but if there were humans still hiding on the planet, they might be holding something that could tip the scales in their favor. "Prepare a team," Carter said, his tone sharp. "We need to investigate this. If there's something out there that could help us, we need to find it before the aliens do." The crew worked quickly, assembling a small team to go down to Earth and investigate the mysterious signal. Carter couldn't help but wonder what they might find. It could be the key to humanity's survival, or it could be another trap set by their alien enemies. As the team prepared to leave, Carter stood alone in the command center for a moment, reflecting on everything that had transpired. The hidden tank had proven itself, but it had also shown him something else: humanity's true strength. It wasn't just the weaponry or the technology that made them formidable. It was their unyielding determination, their refusal to give up, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. "Whatever we find down there," Carter muttered to himself, "we're not backing down. Not now, not ever." With that, the crew departed for Earth, leaving the ancient tank behind, standing guard over the remnants of the alien fleet. As they entered the atmosphere, The tension in the air was palpable. The unknown loomed ahead, but one thing was certain: the fight for Earth's future was far from over. As the small shuttle descended into the planet's atmosphere, the team couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something much bigger than they could imagine. But if humanity had proven anything, it was that they would fight for their survival. They would fight with everything they had. And if there was something out there that could give them the upper hand, they were going to find it. The fight for Earth was only just beginning, and the stakes had never been higher. The last stand. The shuttle touched down on the dusty, war-ravaged Earth, and the team immediately deployed, their boots crunching on the charred ground. As they moved cautiously through the ruined landscape, their eyes darted around, aware that the enemy could be lurking anywhere. Captain Carter led the team, his expression resolute. "Stay sharp, everyone. We don't know what we're walking into." The team, equipped with the best technology humanity had left, moved swiftly, scanning the area for any signs of danger. The destruction was worse than they had imagined. Entire cities lay in ruin, and the landscape had been scared by the alien invasion. The air was thick with dust, and a silence, broken only by the hum of their equipment, enveloped them. They reached a heavily fortified compound deep within the ruins. It was a hidden military base, one that had been abandoned long before the invasion began, yet the signal had come from here. The team entered cautiously, their weapons raised, ready for anything. Inside, they discovered something unexpected: an old underground bunker, sealed tight and untouched by the devastation outside. Carter's heart raced. If the signal had been sent from here, then whatever they were about to uncover might be the key to turning the tide in humanity's favor. "Open it," Carter ordered, his voice tense. Lieutenant Hayes approached the door, her fingers flying over the controls to deactivate the security system. The heavy door groaned as it slowly opened, revealing a dark, cold room. The team stepped inside, the air stale and thick with the smell of disuse. But then, as their lights illuminated the interior, they saw it. A massive warship, ancient but remarkably intact. Its surface was adorned with symbols and designs that no one had seen before. It looked like nothing they had ever encountered. The ship was far beyond anything humanity had built, yet there was no doubt in their minds. It was of Earth's origins. This is impossible," Lieutenant Hayes murmured in disbelief. "How is this here? We thought everything like this had been destroyed." Carter stepped forward, his hand reaching out to touch the ship's surface. The technology was more advanced than anything the crew had ever seen. It seemed almost alive, with systems pulsing faintly under the surface. The signal they had followed had come from this very ship. "This could change everything," Carter said, his voice filled with awe. "It's not just a relic. It's a weapon, one we can use to fight back." As the team worked to uncover the secrets hidden within the ship, they realized something even more chilling. This ancient warship wasn't just a weapon. It was a part of Earth's forgotten history, a piece of a larger, long-lost defense network that had once protected the planet. But why had it been hidden? Why had it been left to gather dust, abandoned for centuries? Carter looked around at his team, a realization dawning upon him. It wasn't just the aliens we were up against all these years. There's something bigger at play. Something much older. The hidden warship could be humanity's last hope. The technology contained within it was beyond anything the alien forces had ever encountered. But as Carter and his team prepared to take control of the ship, they knew the aliens would soon realize what was happening. They would come for Earth, and they would come with everything they had. "This is it," Carter said, standing before the ship's central control system. "We launch this ship, and we launch humanity's last stand." But the moment he activated the warship's systems, a loud alarm rang through the bunker. The alien forces had detected the signal, and they were already on their way. "Move out now," Carter shouted. The team rushed to the control room, making final preparations to launch the ancient warship. It was their only chance to strike back at the alien invaders, to give humanity a fighting chance to survive. The warship hummed to life, its power surging as its weapon systems powered up. The entire bunker seemed to shake as the ship's immense energy built, ready to be unleashed. As the team climbed aboard, Carter glanced back at Earth, the planet they had fought so hard to protect, the planet that had once been on the brink of destruction. Now, it was time for humanity to fight back with everything they had. The ship rose from the ground, breaking through the atmosphere and into the void of space. The alien forces were already assembling, but they hadn't anticipated the power of the ancient warship. Humanity's weapon had been unleashed, and the battle was about to escalate to unimaginable heights. The final showdown had begun, and for the first time in a long while, humanity had a real chance at victory. But this wouldn't be just another battle. It would be humanity's last stand. And as the ancient warship fired its first salvo into the alien fleet, Carter couldn't help but feel that they had finally turned the tide. The fight for Earth was no longer one-sided. It was time to show the galaxy just what humans were capable of. The galaxy would tremble before Earth's wrath. The war was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing. They were no longer the prey. They were the hunters. But the moment he activated the warship's systems, a loud alarm rang through the bunker. The alien forces had detected the signal, and they were already on their way. "Move out now," Carter shouted. The team rushed to the control room, making final preparations to launch the ancient warship. It was their only chance to strike back at the alien invaders, to give humanity a fighting chance to survive. The warship hummed to life, its power surging as its weapon systems powered up. The entire bunker seemed to shake as the ship's immense energy built, ready to be unleashed. As the team climbed aboard, Carter glanced back at Earth, the planet they had fought so hard to protect, the planet that had once been on the brink of destruction. Now, it was time for humanity to fight back with everything they had. The ship rose from the ground, breaking through the atmosphere and into the void of space. The alien forces were already assembling, but they hadn't anticipated the power of the ancient warship. Humanity's weapon had been unleashed, and the battle was about to escalate to unimaginable heights. The final showdown had begun, and for the first time in a long while, humanity had a real chance at victory. But this wouldn't be just another battle. It would be humanity's last stand. And as the ancient warship fired its first salvo into the alien fleet, Carter couldn't help but feel that they had finally turned the tide. The fight for Earth was no longer one-sided. It was time to show the galaxy just what humans were capable of. The galaxy would tremble before Earth's wrath. The war was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing. They were no longer the prey. They were the hunters.